nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Shamsudeen Abdulrazak, and today we will be extracting the effects of having the children, that is Almajiris, back on the street again. At the beginning of the coronavirus earlier this year, the Northern Governors Forum and major stakeholders had to come together to repatriate these children back to their various states of origin across northern Nigeria because of the danger they protect while still moving around with this COVID-19 all around. The issue here is the children themselves are lacking the basic amenities, social amenities that they needed to have. And this is also coming where the whole world is actually shouting that they needed to go back into isolation, whereas everybody is actually afraid of what is happening. Now let's dive into the historical origin of the Almajiri system itself. So the Almajiri system is gotten way back, and it has been with us here in Nigeria in particular, where people travel miles to go learn and seek for knowledge. And this is, we're talking about the Islamic knowledge, the Quranic knowledge. And this has actually been the tradition, especially as it is obtainable in northern parts of the country. Over the years, we've seen people that have actually passed through the Almajiri system, and they are now fitting into the Nigerian system, the Nigerian society as a whole. We've had professors, we've had thought leaders who have actually gone through the Almajiri system. For some time now, this particular issue has actually changed. The particular scheme has changed, because what is obtainable in some yesteryears is where we have children leave the confines of their home to go learn under a scholar. Then they need to go beg for food as out of when due during the morning hours, the afternoon hours, and the night hours, just to feed. But now the system has changed. We have the self-centeredness of the so-called teachers, where they had to use the children as a money-making machine. So the children no longer learn. What they do is they go to the streets and beg. And they do that all through every hours of the day, even as out of when they're supposed to be in school. Now, according to United Nations, that is UNICEF to be precise, they actually provide, like, children between the ages of 6 to 13 years of age are to be in school learning. But unfortunately, we have those children on the streets. They are not learning. They are not under the care of anybody. But what they do, it's begging. And it's actually against the Child Right Act. Now, looking at what it pretends for the social norms, we have a situation whereby 10.5 million children, according to the UBEC, that is the Universal Basic Education Commission, 10.5 million children, that's a whole lot, are out of school. They are either not learning, or they are not even in any conventional medium at all. And we've had a lot of people who have actually come to argue that the Almajiri is under a schooling or a learning system, even if it is not a formal system of learning. So a lot of stakeholders have actually come around to say, okay, fine, let's come discuss this issue. Now, looking at the angle of, they say if there is no supply, there can't be. If there is no demand, rather, there can't be supply. We've had a situation whereby parents will take their child as young as 3 years of age from their homes and take them miles away. We have some of them in the FCT here that will tell you that they left from some parts of the country like 700 to 800 kilometers away. And they come to places where they lack a lot of care, especially at that very tender age. So, and a lot of analysts also argue that this is actually the recruiting point of some of this terrorist group that are springing up all over the country. Because these children are not well, which sector is actually absorbing these children after a very long while of they being on the streets. Only very few of them had the opportunity of going into mainstream education and having a particular place to stay in the Nigerian society. But unfortunately, majority of them are found to be the machineries to be used at the grassroots for these terrorist recruiting organizations. So this is actually the issue of the Almajiri is also pretending a security challenge to us, apart from the social menace. It's pretending a security challenge to us. So we also have the scholars who have also made these children money-making machine, where they had to collect the monies they have. They had to go use it to give it to their malams to feed. So it has now changed from what they call the Almajiranchi to what they call Bara. So the Almajiranchi is the learning system, while the Bara is where the formal, the normal begging system. So now we've had organizations, we've had governments, we've had lots of people coming together to say, okay, fine, let's find a way out. So at the wake of the coronavirus earlier this year, the northern state governments came up with the idea of repatriating these children back to their hometown. And at the tail end of it, it was successful, and a whole lot of states actually were able to do that. Now, at a conference organized by UNICEF virtually, the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, actually stated, he painted a scenario whereby these children were taken back to their hometown, and the feedback they got from the mother of that particular child was the child was taken away from her at the age of 6. And now it was 6 years after that the child has been brought back. And what her husband, who is the father of that child, told her was that the child is missing, only for the child to be back after 12 years of age. So now there are lots of schemes, there are a lot of models that are being projected for the Almajiri system. So the perfect model that is being preached is a system whereby they come to learn in the morning. Every child between the age of 6 to 13 years is under the care of his parents. Then they go to the normal school close by 1. Then by 4 to 6, they go to the normal Arabic school. Then at evening hours, they can also learn on their parents if their parents are scholars. That's a kind of a perfect model. And there is another model that is also being proposed, whereby you have these Almajiri centers and their teachers now also being tutored, also being engaged. Because these people will also be out of business, and they might also pretend a particular security challenge to the society. So we've had lots of organizations coming. We've had a lot of advocacy groups who are actually advocating for the right of the Almajiri child. Prominent among them is the Almajiri Child Right Initiative. We have the Almajiri Foundation. We've had the Almajiri is also a child initiative. We've had close to many organizations advocating for the right of the Almajiri child. Now, another interesting aspect of it at the national scene was during the administration of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. There was the concept of building Almajiri schools, integrated Almajiri schools across northern Nigeria, so that these children will be catered for in a more of like a boarding-like system. But unfortunately, many years down the line, this particular system couldn't function. It couldn't work. Majority of these buildings are at the shadow of themselves without any occupant many years after it was actually built. Now, to solve this particular social menace and to solve this challenge, we have the National Almajiri Summit. The National Almajiri Summit is actually the biggest of all organizations coming up to say they actually after solving, providing a lasting solution to this particular menace. And they have 3 focal areas. The focal areas is bringing all stakeholders on the table to discuss this particular issue of the Almajiri child. The second one is to find a lasting solution to it. And the third one is to have a concrete mechanism for monitoring and evaluation, which is actually very key. Because if you don't have monitoring and evaluation of this process, it's as good as investing a whole lot and not getting anything at the end of it. So to achieve this, they've actually had 4 cohorts where they've splitted it into these issues, into the issue of funding, the issue of legislation, the issue of curriculum and models that will actually perfectly work. So far, they've actually had seminars and workshops on the issue of the models and the curriculums that will perfectly suit the Almajiri system. Now, coming on the 19th of this month, that's the 19th of December 2020, in Abuja here, there is going to be another workshop that is going to be discussing this particular issue. And this time around, it's going to be for the legislative and the funding cohorts, where a high-level delegations are going to be discussing this particular issue. And we hope that the issue of Almajiri will soon be a thing of the past. And we hope that very soon we won't have any Almajiri child on the streets again. So that is all for now, as we expect that a very fruitful discussion and a very fruitful deliberations in that particular workshop. So we'll be there to actually give you live info as the event unfolds. Thank you very much for watching. I still remain your host, Shamsudeen Abdulrazak, and try as much as possible to follow all our social media platforms at iMedia TV on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you very much.